In this video, we had the co-CEO of HighLevel, Robin Alex himself, stop by our group and do a brief training on the top offers that agencies are currently using right now to make a lot of money. I'm talking millions of dollars every single month using their software. Guys, they have over 60,000 different agencies, so this guy has access to a lot of data that you probably just don't have. So in this video, I had him drop all the details on the exact offers, the top ways people are using this software, how they're selling it, how they're making money. So without further ado, let's hop over and see what Robin had to say. Mr. Robin Alex, are you with us?
Yeah, how's it going, everyone?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I can't complain, just trying to keep up.
Perfect. Today, we're talking about offers and how people can actually get this shit out there and make some fucking money with it, right? And I thought, give a little bit of background. If you guys don't know, Robin had an agency at one point. So that was his background. So he was in the dirt just like the rest of you at one point or another. So he probably knows just as good as anybody how agencies can make money. And so a big thing that we're talking about over the next couple of days is like foot in the door offers. Is something Rahul likes to call the hot dog offer because he really fucking likes hot dogs from Costco for some reason. So he likes to bring that up a lot. So we're talking about that today and just like different features, right, that you could use that you're finding. So you've got your head in the back end, right? You see what agencies are doing. You see what they're using to make money. What's some offers or some features that you think people are using, agencies especially, to sell SaaS to their clientele that's really popping off? Like if you could name, let's just say the top three, what do you think those would be right now?
I mean, just at the simplistic manner, just enabling text in a business. I mean, that goes, to a high degree. I mean, most businesses to date don't text their customers, even just from a one-to-one perspective, but then, being able to do mass blast and doing it in a conversative way, you can win. Actually, I was just helping a buddy of mine turn it on. He has a lawn mowing company. And basically, I don't know what happened here in Dallas. The weather's been pretty crazy with rain. And so he couldn't get any bookings and couldn't get people out there. So I just helped him load up his contact list and he just started sending text messages out and put a calendar link in it and people just started booking. So he didn't even have to do a single thing there. That usually is a great lead-in, doing, database reactivation, doing reputation management, asking people for reviews. That's another easy one where you can just, same concept, send a message out and just ask for a review. And then the missed call text back. I mean, that's a simple one as well. And really that's a lead-in to helping a business get online. And in many cases, getting their Google My Business set up, just getting listed. That is just free opportunity and it just legitimizes your business online. And it's surprising how many businesses are still not there today.
So would you recommend these guys that they would give that away for free and leave that as a lead-in for the rest of the SaaS platform? Or would you recommend them charging for that up front? What would you see that's being the most successful for the people that you see using it?
Look, you can make that argument one way or the other. I'm Mr. Frictionless, and I love just coming in and just providing value. And it makes the sale so much easier. So you could easily just go in and saying, hey, you know what? I normally charge this, but I'm super excited. I just want to help you. So let me just get your list. Let me load it in. And if I can get you, a couple of appointments, do you think that you'd like to keep going? It's such a frictionless ask. And so, most of the time they'll say yes, load it up, get them conversations in there. And, the cool thing about it is just it's like a drug. You get that addiction of like, wow, I'm sending messages out and people are responding back to me, communicating, and I can turn this in. Even if you can't get any success, which is highly, highly unlikely, once someone has your phone number and you're talking to them back and forth and you threaten to shut off that phone number, I mean, that's a scary thing for a business. Think about like the first time you get your cell phone and you gave it out to your friends. And if somebody said, oh yeah, you only have it for 30 days. And then at the end of it, you can't talk to those people anymore because we're turning off that phone number. That's a scary proposition.
Yeah. And so I'd like to get into that a little bit because I think that's super important, right? We're talking about foot in the door offer. Now you're talking about something else that I think is like, if you've never run a SaaS before, and a lot of these guys are going to be launching their first one, right? What you just said was like the fear of losing it. And it's stickiness, right? SaaSes are great because if you can get them to use it, it's really hard to lose them. The churn rate's really small because they get stuck to it. So like, leaning into that, What do you think that people are doing, and what could these guys do here to introduce that stickiness quicker so that they start getting them to actually use it? Because I'll tell you right now, we did this for the first SaaS that we launched years ago using your guys' shit for realtors. Fuck, it was hard to get them to use the pipeline, move people around, do all that stuff, right? And so, like, what are you seeing, or what would you do if you were these guys to get that quicker, to get that kind of stickiness going, to increase their LTV?
I always start with the text-enabled phone number. I mean, that's the easiest one. Get those conversations in there. The second one is asking for their customer list. If you can get their customer list and putting that into the software, it's kind of like programming your phone for the first time. You turn on your phone and somebody calls you, you try making a call out there. It's hard to feel like it's your phone because you don't know, Cody's name in there or Rahul's name. It's just random phone numbers. But the second that you put the contact in there, it starts making it feel like home, and in many cases, home base. And so that's really where the platform really thrives, and it becomes kind of the center hub of how a business functions. So if you can make it as close to that analogy, you'll continue to win. And, to that point of the value of SaaS is once you get them in there, it's hard to leave. And then you just start compounding that compound effect of getting your next customer and almost following that same model over and over again.
Love that.
I mean, like if you, with that example, like the lawnmower friend of yours, and then I'm just thinking like restaurants, dentists, it could be anything. Like one text message, you're literally giving them real-time revenue. Like imagine if a restaurant actually had like 500 people, their friends or their database somehow. You loaded it up, send it out from one common number instead of like the bar back or the bartender or the waitress, et cetera. It's all consolidated. Like that's so powerful. Like, I mean, the NCAA tournament at all these bars that are empty would be packed. It's a $5,000 to $7,000 a day on a text blast. Like think about that.
And, you can take it a little bit further and hook them up to do it with Stripe or authorize.net. And you could do basically request money through text message. And so you'd be like, hey, let's hold a table at a restaurant, $20 deposit, or book an appointment or anything like that. So you can actually collect dollars in the platform through text messages, kind of like Apple Pay or anything like that.
Some help. Robin, what I'm hearing you say basically though is the best core foot in the door offer and stickiness really, it should be leaning into leveraging a customer's already existing list, database reactivation, right? Getting them a few quick wins and then getting them to use the system to feel that endorphin rush, and then just kind of seeing, okay, cool. Once they get that, they'll probably progress through it. Is that correct?
Yeah, 100%. It's if you just try to make it as frictionless as possible, getting what they already have. Mm-hmm. They can easily get you some phone numbers. They're probably using QuickBooks, or they're using, Clover or just some other platform that's already collecting this data. Just find wherever that file export is and take that contact list and then, put it into the platform from there.
Love it. I would agree with that 100%, by the way, guys. Like I said, gave away yesterday. And by the way, everybody that signed up with our link is going to get an actual database reactivation training. And one of our clients, right, a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, used it and sold a $4 million house with a realtor before they ever even turned on ads. You know what that does? It pays for their entire marketing expense for the next 3 years before she's even turned on any paid traffic. That's the kind of shit you can do that's just so super powerful with this, right? And that's why we're going to give that away to everybody that signed up with the link, because I mean, to me, and apparently to Robin as well, it's great when these things work out and everybody's in sync, right? That's the thing that's going to really be the best kickoff. And I love the second thing you said there was the missed call text back sequence and the reviews, because those are two things that we've been pushing a lot on as well to get that. Let's talk price points. What are you seeing as the average and best price points for people right now to market their SaaS offers at? What are you seeing agencies mostly charging for this kind of stuff?
Right now, at about $300 to $500 a month is definitely the sweet spot. It's not too much of a pain point for there's different levels for a business, mostly when they haven't done traditional marketing or they've always had limited budget. If you stay within that $200 to $500 range, it's pretty much a safe zone in the sense that people will keep it for a long term and they're willing to invest their personal time into it. Because that's one thing that people forget, mostly as marketers, when you're trying to sell to a business, you're just looking at it from your side, how you're bringing so much value to them. Yeah. But it's like this weird balance. The business owner is paying somebody else to ultimately drive them more sales. Now, no one ever thinks about the work that's involved on both sides. No. And so from a transaction perspective, if you reduce the dollar amount, sure, it feels like you're taking a kind of a revenue hit, but the LTV, you're keeping that customer for such a long time. There's a vested interest on both sides to keep it going. And, it's just a lot less stress because there's no professional services that's associated to it versus traditional marketing agency work.
Yeah, I mean, look, I part of the thing we've been harping on so much is the need to get away from everybody just constantly yelling about raising their prices, and understanding that people think I gotta charge more, I gotta work more, I gotta do all this, and it's a straight line to like the end goal that they want, and they don't realize you're just burying yourself in more work if that's not the outcome you want. Like most people want freedom, therefore they think a whole bunch more clients that are high paying that I have to work all day. Gary Vee. Love the guy, but hustle culture, and they shove it down their throat. This is a great opportunity to do what you just said, which is LTV, stickiness of clientele, and have something that mostly can run itself. Do you got to provide a little bit of support? Sure. Right. But something like this can really be, we talk about not chasing higher highs, but setting higher lows. Right. And this is like, to me, the perfect thing for that. I love that you say that. So we got a question from the crowd that was finally about marketing. Jeremiah says, do you think that niched down SaaSes or set wide open SaaSes with GoHighLevel tend to work better? I have a very strong opinion about this, but I'd like to hear yours first.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a hot topic question that comes up quite often. So I would say if you don't have any customers or have not niche down, there is no need to rush to niche down. You can easily walk out, go start knocking on doors, go to your chamber of commerce. The value play of what the software holds is generally the same for 99% of businesses. You do the same exact thing. Every business, doesn't matter who you are, you need leads, or you need contacts, you need leads, you need, conversions of some sort. Now that conversion is where things go sideways a little bit on what it is. It could be an appointment, it could be an actual transaction sale, it could be a consultation or whatever. But the beginning part is traditionally the same for everybody. And so from that perspective, you can walk into any business and provide them help and services. And so my take on anything is being able to walk into any business, don't worry about niche, and just try to find if you can help them in any way possible. And you will ultimately lean into a couple of things. One is you'll start learning the vernacular of each one of these businesses because, some businesses calls it patients, some businesses call it students, some, there's just different nuances in every business. And then you'll also learn that the customers that really lean in are also going to give you natural referrals. And the natural referrals is actually how you'll realize that you can land into a niche and expand without having to do a lot of aggressive work there because the word of mouth is just so powerful.
Love it. And you just gave me like war flashbacks because I remember when I started my agency like 10 or 11 years ago, that was what I was doing, wandering around on the streets, knocking on doors, calling from this ancient book that some of you guys have probably not seen in 10 years called The Yellow Pages. Don't think they print those anymore. I think it's just a website nowadays, but they used to mail it to you. So that just gave me war flashbacks. Not the greatest thing. Dana says, how would you decide whether to charge 300 or 500 based on what you were saying earlier? So when you're saying the package ranges between that, I mean, the obvious answer is provide more value and let the market tell you, but is there anything specific service-wise, feature-wise that you are seeing people kind of add, remove on your SaaS mode?
No, I mean, to be honest, if you're starting out, just ask.
Yeah.
Hey, customer, or hey, Cody, if I were to do all these things for you and I were to hypothetically charge $300, would you buy it? And they'll give you instant feedback. And if they say no, let's say, you're on the high side and I was going to charge you $1,000 and they say, no, that's too expensive. Okay, well, what would you pay for it? And then they'll give you a number. They're not going to say zero, which is kind of the funny thing, but they might come back with 500 and be like, perfect. So I'm going to sign you on for 500 then, right? Usually that's how I start. And that word of mouth component, once you help them, they're going to tell 2 or 3 other people, and that becomes the new baseline price for you.
Love that. I want to add something to that, guys. I think the easiest way to charge as much money as you want is just to do math. That's literally it. So like, if you want to charge 500 a month, how can you make them 1,000 a month? You know what I'm saying? So like if you do a database reactivation alone and they have a list of 1,000 people and you can book 10% of it, right? Let's say you can only book 5% of it because you're not even that great. So you get 50 calls, right? And 60% of those calls show up. You end up with 30 shows right? And then if they're any good of a salesperson whatsoever, they can close 20% of those. They get 6 new clients. If that can equal you $1,000, then what can you charge? 500. And that's before you ever turn on anything else, right? So if you want to charge a little bit of money, prove to the person that you can create value. Prove to the person that an end result is possible. The way that we do it on sales call, you guys have been on sales calls with some of our people. You've seen me do the math. Yesterday, I did the math behind how you could make $1 million a year in just using a SaaS product and never have to spend the millions and millions and millions they had to spend developing it for you. Everybody remember that? Put your hands up. Yes? Cool. So now when you're saying, and you're asking Robin, like, what do I charge, 300 or 500? Oh, well, I'll tell you something. It's interesting thing. All prices are made up. Don't know if you knew that or not. You make it up and then you say it to the customer and then the customer says, fuck you, or they say, okay, and they give you the credit card. And that's called supply and demand. There you go. You just took a university course, basic economics. And so you just have to find a way to prove it out and make it work. Right?
Yeah, don't worry too much about the price. 'Cause I mean, all it is vocabulary, right? It's just some people get scared to say a bigger number. It's just a word. So I wouldn't put so much pressure on the number you put out. So just keep it super, super simple. But like, look at the flip side of this too. Like, let's just say this works. We get the client, a bunch of clients. Think about how scalable that could be when you go to client number 2 and number 3. Because if you go your foot in the door with what a lot of agencies are doing right now is offering free Facebook ads. They're just walking their own plank and they're the only ones that don't know it. So they're pissing off the customer because the customer has to spend the ad spend. They're trying to get access to a page. They're doing pixels. They're doing lead pages. They're doing zaps. They're following up. The customer's not calling the leads. Then you end up calling the leads. And now you have a full-time job for free. You're an intern. And then the client's still not going to hire you. So look at that circular chain of events that just happened. But imagine if you had like 17 words that was already pre-written by Cody and myself that you can just copy and paste to pretty much a large variety of industries and just modify some of the language. And then it's already going to work as long as they have a database. Like how much work that takes. And if you do it once and you put in those couple hours where you fuck it up and something doesn't work and then you figure it out, imagine duplicating that, how quick the second time would be, and the third and the fourth and the fifth, right? So now you have something super, super simple, scalable. Then you have that frictionless offer where you could do something in good faith if you're an early agency or early cash flow, where you could do something free for a one-time text blast to earn their business. They get a bunch of clients, reinvest that revenue back into you guys. And it doesn't stop there, because if your number's 300 a month and you isolated like a feature, you can isolate another feature and bolt on something on top of it. Like something we haven't talked about is the social planner. That's fucking dope. Guess what? 2023, every human's on social. Have you guys ever seen an ad, clicked it, and bought something from that company? Ever? Like, I don't Google a lot of stuff because I'd run into it on Facebook. Right. So the social media stuff is going to be a great one for people. A lot of you guys heard me live sell it. Just completely hung over too.
I believe that you guys just plugged in ChatGPT to that, didn't you, Robin, too? Didn't you guys just launch it?
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to go hard with ChatGPT, mostly in the sense of just ease. As a SaaSpreneur, you want to go out and sell different things to your customers. You talk about the social planner. Well, it sounds great. You have a place to do the social planning, but who has time to doing that? Finding images, finding cool copywriting points to make in your social post. So how would you like it if you just had a button, you put in just kind of a general idea about the business, and it'll spit out different commentary for you that you can put on social posts. And so we have that. We're expanding it out to funnels. If you want to build websites or if you want to build blog articles, things of that nature, it's literally just type in a couple of lines and then boom, the whole thing extracts copy for you.
Guess what, guys? If you plug into what Robin just explained, write a couple of pieces of text, you could have a robot write all the copy for you, design all the images for you, and just all you got to do is schedule it out using the built-in tool within the snapshot. 6 months free social media management. And while you get them on the call to set that up, because you're like, hey, I just want to talk to you about what kind of content you want. Let's get this all set up. It's free. You just happen to ask them a question. Hey, do you mind if I ask a couple other questions about your business? Cool. Oh, you've got this other problem. Cool. Well, while I'm doing this amazing free thing for you, and now that we're best friends, what if I could also do this other thing? Right? You guys see how this kind of shit can change the narrative to being a progressive thing where now you're making money. And it's this big ass thing that they're building out that you can create. Boom, foot in the door off, right? Yes. Robin, how have you been seeing people use that so far? It's been rolled out for about a month, right? Have you guys been witnessing anything really badass with it that you could relate?
I mean, the biggest thing that I've seen is actually you going into, any business like the med spa or the plumber, and they're actually doing the posting themselves using the AI tools. That's really the nuance of change that I've seen. Because before, it is the agency having to sell the services or the product and then doing the service themselves. But now you're kind of bringing the tools and making it so easy that the business owner at least has the opportunity to do it themselves. Because before it felt like a very black box, right? Like kind of like running ads, like I can't do it. Somebody else has to do it for me, but you're kind of leading them with the opportunity to do it. And they may not want to do it. And they might come back saying, look, I still want to hire you to do the grunt work and making sure that it gets done.
But then that can become an upsell, right? That's
yeah.
So this kind of leans into, Ty had a good question in here. Does it help or hurt? Do you find with people offering ongoing training and like video training, course material, that kind of stuff to go along with the SaaS for the prospects? Or do you find that just confuses them and it's better off just to let it be a black box, like you were saying on the other side?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely depends on who you are as an individual and who your customers are. As business owners, in many cases, sometimes too many features can be overwhelming or a distraction. And so if you're one of those individuals, you can do the training and constantly teach them more opportunities and things like that. But the more that you train and the more that you do, the more that you ultimately have to support. And so I'm actually on the other side of it of keeping it simple. Yeah. Certain industries only need 4 or 5 things. Just make sure those 4 or 5 things work all the time consistently and easy so someone can jump in and understand what's going on. And you may not be able to continuously charge the super premium, but your stress level is so minimized because it's just turnkey and the customer's ultimately having success.
I mean, one of the people that everybody likes to complain about, I find hilarious, does that perfectly. Those Pipeline Pro guys.
Yep.
All that.
Yep.
It's brought up in your guys' group. What? At least it must still happen at least once every 2 weeks. It was at one point, it was like once a month. I think it rattled up. But they do like that exact thing that you're talking about, just frictionless, give them a few features. And then if they want more, just make it available to them. Do you find, like, I don't know if you must know those guys pretty well. They've been around for a long time. Was that how they were able to build that so well? Has it been working really well for them? Have they gone away from that? Did you have a little insight?
No, they haven't really changed their business model. It's working incredibly well for them. But it is that, right? They know that 80% of their customers need the specific features that they have. And they honestly, you still get the 20% of customers who exceed what the capabilities are on the base side, and they're always asking for it. Yeah. And they're all saying like, yeah, we can give it to you. We kind of don't want to give it to you, but you keep hounding us. So here it is. But now you're going to pay me more for it because we have to staff up more support. We have to watch it differently. We have to basically, help you manage it because the complexities lie there. But they try to stick to their bread and butter, focus on the 80-20 rule.
I love it. And they do really well. So for everybody in here who sees it and complains, because I'm sure 2 or 3 of you, just based on the law of averages and what I've seen, will, they're doing it right. Don't complain about them. Try to see what they're doing and try to replicate that. That kind of leads into Dave's question here. What is another turnkey product you can use to create a frictionless entry point with clients? So you like that word frictionless, right? I think that's where they're catching you on that, Robin. So they want to know what else could be a frictionless entry point that you know of.
Let's see here. I would look at doing appointments on demand. I think that's another one, basically setting up calendars for a business, putting chat widgets on a website. I think that's another great one. People are mostly, if it's a legacy business, they've been around, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. People are Googling them already. People are going to their website and just adding a chat widget that we have, and it brings it into the platform. That's just more traffic coming in that they ultimately didn't know or utilize before. Adding the calendars is another easy one. And then, the social planner. I mean, that's a lightweight one. That requires a little bit more work, not a significant amount, but that's another frictionless one from the customer's perspective that they can see activity. And I think that's the important thing when we talk about friction. It's when you're starting a new service or new product, you want to get that satisfaction of I did something and I see it. I can see something being pushed forward. And, while there might be a little bit of work, like compared to Facebook ads, what Raul was saying, you got to get access to the Facebook account. You got to get the images. You got to get the copywriting. You got to get the targeting. Like there's so many moving pieces just to get your first ad out there. And the longer that it takes, the bigger the win has to be to justify that work that you put in. And so for me, friction is more like, it's like 1 click, 2 clicks, but you got a message coming in or you got a social post out. Well, okay, I see something happening. So it must be working or we're starting to move forward there.
So another part of this, the frictionless thing here that Jeremiah is asking, to follow up with that, would you recommend slow onboarding? Like I would like to know, what do you find best practices are for onboarding new clients to not only create that stickiness, which we've talked about, like get their phone number set up, get all that stuff going, but are you seeing manual holding by the hands, like just absolute automated and just, using videos? What's the best practices there that you're seeing for agencies that you've been working with?
I mean, to be honest, so what we've learned is if you're willing to spend the time with the customer, their LTV, their lifetime value basically flips up almost 10x. If they try to do it themselves, they're not going to get across the finish line, or they're going to try skipping steps, or they're not going to do what they need to do the right way, or understand the value in what they're doing. Because it might be more transactional. I'm just going to click this, and this, but you don't really understand the whys. But if you're able to do it, I think, through a Zoom call or doing it on their behalf and just explaining them, giving them the high notes on what they need to pay attention to, they're going to fall in love with the platform and stay on for a significantly longer time because they're more invested that way.
Yeah, love it. I'm going to end the crowd peanut gallery questions with this one because I like it. It's going to put you on the spot a little bit. How do you pitch GHL in 1 or 2 sentences? So Robin, if you were in, this is my question to all new GSD students, by the way, if you were in an elevator ride with me and you had 2 or 3 floors worth of time to pitch me your product, so in this case, GHL, what would you say?
I'd probably say, hey, do you have a platform where you can communicate with your customers and drive dollars in quickly as possible? I always do it as a question.
Yeah. Okay. And then I say, no, it's just, you can help fix it.
Yeah. I got a software that could do that.
Perfect.
And I can set it up in an hour. Cool.
Good, man. Well, Rahul, anything that you want to dive into with Robin that I didn't get? I think we had some really good questions there. We got to pick a lot of stuff about offers, foot in the door stuff. Anything that you wanted to review?
I mean, it's the number one thing is simplicity. And the number one thing everybody's brains try to do is complexity, because there's a lot of builders in this room right now. How many of you guys have built a snapshot and haven't sold it? All right. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are experts in that. Go out and go feature by feature, because we don't know if the customer wants to buy that shit anyways. Plus, Cody and I already built it. We'll give it to you. Become our affiliate. We'll give it to you. Join the GSD. We'll give it to you. So you don't even have to guess what works. You'll already get what works because we did all that shit. But we're good at selling it. We know that people pay $1,200 for social planners without the content. We know that people will pay $900 just for the CRM access to organize their leads, so they will never actually lose a lead if they have a high enough ticket to make it justified for $900 a month. Just one feature. And we can send them from there. Or we can implement and give it to them from there and be the hero. We can get a pat on the back from the client saying, oh, you would do that for me? You would have the social planner for free? Yes, sir. Done. Right? So there's so much opportunity when you just simplify things, and then you guys are the ones that'll win, because your implementation doesn't require 2 or 3 people, and you don't have to go on the VA networks and say, do I know a VA that knows these 17 apps? Because you're going to hire the wrong person 3 times. So now you can do it and control it. Super duper simple. I think it's the best platform on the planet, because it's like, I call it the spinal cord. Like, imagine if your body had no spinal cord, it would collapse. What if your business was that way too?
Yeah. And the other cool thing about it is, while we're talking about the monthly recurring, right? 100, 200, 300, whatever you want to charge there. Also know that the more that they use in the platform, you'll be able to monetize against it. So the more texting that they do, which really contributes to more wins that they're going to get, you start monetizing on that usage. And we're starting to do that in many other areas. The more that they're using with ChatGPT, that usage you'll be able to charge your customer on because you're making their life easier. We're going to be enabling WhatsApp very soon. And you'll be able to charge people on that utilization as well. And remember, the more messaging, the more communications that they leverage, the more they should be winning. You're just not going to be sending out emails just for the sake of sending emails out or text messages. And so you'll be able to monetize in so many different angles that you'll be able to win everywhere that you look.
Love it. So simplicity, monetization, and raise the floor, guys. Can we give a little bit more love for Mr. Robin? He showed up today. He answered all your guys' questions. Let's give some woos, guys. We
love you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
And thank you for your support.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Robin, before you go, what time is it?
I'm going to get shit done.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's
Said
go.
with conviction.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Hey, thank you so much, man.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you so much for spending the time to watch that amazing training. Like I mentioned previously, my intention is for you not just to watch that training, but if you got something out of it, if you think this information is useful, I want you to continue that journey with us. And you can do that in a couple of ways. One, I want you to smash that subscribe button so that you get notified every single time we put another one of these out, which will be at minimum once to twice per week. The other thing I want you to do is go ahead and click that next video right there beside you so that you can dive in and get shit done. Hope to see you out there.